Hey guys, Aaron here, and today on the show I interview Ryan. He's a racing commentator, and he owns greyhounds and stuff like that. So we chat about that, and we chat about like if he can pick a winner by doing what he does. And yeah, it's just a great chat. All right, cool. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. All right, cheers, guys. All right, that's recording. Quick word from the sponsors. FIFO, what really happens after the plane takes off, and now FIFO number 2, how a drug dealer became a FIFO worker. FIFO number 3 coming out later on this year. Both available under The Aaron White Show on TikTok or Aaron Weston Author on Instagram or Facebook. And for the kids, under Children's Books by Aaron White, you got Australian Paramedics, Australian Surf Lifesavers, Australian Police Vehicles, Australian Defence Force Machines, Mining Machines Colouring Handbook, Australian Firefighters, Australian Mining Machines, all available under Children's Books by Aaron White. All right, let's get into it. Hey everyone, and welcome to the Aaron White Show. Today I have a fantastic guest, Ryan. Ryan is a race commentator. Welcome to the show, Ryan.
G'day, Aaron. Great to be on the podcast.
Great to have you. Hey, today I just want to hear your story, like how and where you grew up, any life-changing events, and how you end up doing what you're doing today.
Okay, well, it all started as a bit of an obsession in regards to commentary, basically. So when I've Googled it, it must have been 1985 or 1986. And my dad, I grew up with Aussie rules. Dad played Aussie rules. And I remember listening to a Carlton Hawthorn VFL grand final because it wasn't on TV. That's how old I am. Grand final wasn't on TV. And I sat there and I listened to it. And I was sort of captivated with how the commentary could let me feel like I was seeing what was going on, if that makes sense. So that's where it all started, and hopefully I don't bore the listeners with, well, hopefully they'll find this interesting, because I think what's happened to me is I got obsessed when I was young, and that obsession hasn't left me, if that makes sense. So it started with Matchbox cars, which the kids now would call Hot Wheels cars. And what I would do, I would buy any car, mum and dad would buy me any car that had a number on it. So if it was red and it had 15 on it, I would push it around in a race, calling it red 15. Simple as that. And then I remember one day mum discovered little stickers at the news agency, and they were numbers on them. So all of a sudden I could buy any car and just put a sticker on it. And I just sit there all day pushing cars around, have a fake finish line and commentate the cars. And then I remember Dad's a teacher, and he took me to, it was at Perry Lakes, the old Perry Lakes Stadium in Perth, where the PSA schools, so there's 7 all boys schools here in WA, and basically it was just the athletics day. And I just remembered being captivated with every race, all these different colours, 7 teams, different distances, all of the schools there, just boys galore chanting. And I fell in love with that. That day I remember thinking, geez, this is good. And so I was just obsessed with racing. Colours is a lot to do with it, differentiating between teams. And then I discovered, always liked Scalextrics, the cars. And if I can just digress for a moment, isn't it weird how Scalextrics haven't evolved?
Yeah, it's the same thing.
I mean, I can talk to you over Zoom, but it's just the same thing. So anyway, 20 years ago, for Christmas, I got given a Scalextrics track. It was called TCR. Now, TCR, you could change lanes. There were only 2 lanes, but at any time, your car could change lanes. It was amazing, and I don't know what happened to it, because it was way better than what's on offer now. And anyway, because they could change lanes, there were grooves in the track. So I discovered that little marbles, the sort of 1 to 1.5 centimetre size, could go into these grooves. And if you put the slow ones at the front and the fast ones at the back, you could simulate your own race where they change order. Obviously, if you have the fast ones at the front, there's no point because they just race away. And for what it's worth, the little speckly ones are the slow ones. And the ball bearings, well, they're just the best you can get. So I started building these marble tracks, giving the marbles names. I've still got the marbles today in the garage, and I just sit there all day and just commentate these races. So that's where it all started. And I remember in high school, you could buy fruit tingles, the lifesavers, and what I'd do, I'd always sit at the back of the class. I wasn't very interested in school, and I'd put a ruler in front of me, a ruler about 20 centimeters away, and I'd put a foot under one side of the desk, so you'd have a gradient, and I'd race fruit tingles and just commentate to myself. I remember doing that in science. So then basically, life-changing event. My dad saw me being obsessed with this sort of stuff. I grew up in Ferndale, which is very close to Cannington, where the Cannington Greyhounds race. And my dad called them, and then I started calling from the age of 13 qualifying trials, which are for greyhounds that haven't raced yet. So they have to prove to stewards that they're able to go in a race, basically. And they'd have 4 in a race and 4 in a trial. And I commentated them, and then I started calling horses because that's where the opportunities were. My dad always liked horses. He had a few bets on a Saturday, and I'd listen to the race calls. And yeah, so that's how I sort of got into calling horse racing, which led to calling athletics and greyhound racing.
So can you talk really fast? Can you talk really fast like how they do on the radio?
They actually don't talk that fast. They just don't stop. Yeah, if you actually listen I know what you're saying. Everyone says that, oh, can you talk really fast? Well, I probably can, but it's more of putting a cue in your brain of what the next sentence is going to be, so there's no lag, if that makes sense.
Yeah. What do you prefer to call? Do you prefer the races or the horses or the greyhounds? Or
I think athletics would be the best. I mean, if I could call anything, I reckon a 1500 at the Olympics. If all of a sudden I could just do whatever I wanted, forget a Melbourne Cup at Flemington, I would love to call an 800 or a 1500, men's or women's, at the Olympics.
Do you find yourself doing that when you're watching the Olympics?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah, especially if you know the runners. And to be honest, every Olympics, like some of that Gabra Salesi, like he was probably 8 years ago, but my God, that was so good because I don't know, for listeners might not know, but he won every race all year. For the want of a better term, he choked twice in 2 Olympics, went too early, and then he finally won his Olympic medal and timed his run perfectly. So, I would say athletics. Horses, the problem with horses is they're on Saturdays, and WA is a very big state. I jotted down, there's 39 racetracks, horse racetracks in WA. I've called at 27 of them, and I've called at Wyndham, where I had to stay there for a week because there was only 1 flight in and 1 flight out a week. Mount Magnet, Landor, which is a station about 8 hours east of Geraldton, Esperance, Leonora, and then obviously some of the tracks closer to Perth.
Would you do the AFL, or does that interest you, doing like commentating for like AFL or basketball games and stuff like that?
Yeah, it would interest me. But I've got it pretty cushy now calling greyhounds, and that was the problem with horses. From the age of 18 to 27, I always wanted to play Aussie rules.
Yeah.
Not that I would have been that good, but I would, just the camaraderie of a team, and I loved playing footy all through juniors, but I would literally be away 42 of 52 weekends. Like Esperance, Carnarvon, I used to call 10 or 11 meetings at those racetracks a year, and you'd leave at 7 a.m. Saturday and you'd get back at about 8 p.m. Sunday, and you'd get paid $250 and you'd get taxed on it and pay for parking at the airport. So when I got to 27, I thought, right, that's it. I'm going to go play footy. Well, I can still run. And that's when I started calling greyhounds. And the other good thing with greyhounds, there's only ever 8 in a race.
Yeah.
With horses, you can get up to 16, and there's a bit more pressure. And to be honest, I'm better at memorizing. Probably 12's probably my max. As soon as I go over 12, my confidence is jeopardized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going to segue. I know you call your races, but also you're doing something cool with your kids. So you're taking it step. You're not doing a full-time job, are you? You've chosen just to. Do you want to talk about that?
I do. Yeah, it's exactly what I've done. Because because 80% of the horse races are on a Saturday or a Sunday. I coach my son's Auskick, and yeah, I don't earn that much, but it's enough to pay the bills, and I'm very happy being a very solid father and husband.
So why did you choose that? Well, it sounds like you had a good relationship with your dad. Why did you choose to? Because most people would work like your Monday to Friday and then just have the weekend to spend with the kids. But why have you chose just to work on the weekends and take a time out from trying to build a career to focus more on your kids?
Because I don't think you'd ever regret that. Well, I don't think I would.
Yeah.
So I'd prefer to, see, I am away 3 or 4 nights a week, but I make up for it having the weekends. And I live very close to the track that I call most at, which is Mandurah. And I own greyhounds. I'm currently on my 6th and 7th greyhounds that I've had as pets. So I sort of started out wanting to call athletics and horses, but I love the animal. I love the greyhounds, and I'm pretty happy.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I think it's pretty cool that you actually, because you don't hear that much about it, like just taking a step back from the career thing, going, I've only got this limited time while the kids are young to actually spend with them. So instead of like working away, or instead of like chasing the money, you're actually focusing more on creating memories with your kids and then just doing that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, I think one of the most important things, and a thing that I'm going to make sure my 3 kids do, is have a job they don't like at some point.
Yeah.
Because you need to know how lucky you are when, it might not be even the job, it might just be a boss or something. I think when you do get a job that you're happy with, you have to appreciate it. And the other thing is chasing the money. We've all got lots of mates who have got the money, but, you'd never say anything, but they could spend more time, and they're not that happy. So, I know it can work the other way. You get the dream job, make heaps of money, and you're laughing all the way to the bank. But let's be honest, there's a lot of people that work too hard and probably look back and think, oh, I probably didn't need to. And let's face it, if you earn 150 grand or 100 grand, it's not 50,000 difference. With the tax man, it's probably 20 or 25.
Where did you pick that up along the way? Just seeing your mates, or?
I don't know. Yeah, just life experience, I suppose.
Yeah.
And mates whinging about, on a Sunday night, oh, geez, I've got to do this, or I've got to do that, or I'm, the poor old FIFO workers, it works for some and it doesn't work for others.
I want to talk about you. You just touched on owning greyhounds. Do your greyhounds race, or are they pets? What are they?
Both, yeah. So probably part owned 30 greyhounds since, in the last 20 years. Every one of them's been rehomed. Like I said, I've had 7 of them as pets. The one I've got now, pardon me, her race name was Starlight Shine, and she goes by Shine, and she's had 3 litters. So I own all of her babies. She's actually got a very, very fast son racing now called Sarong, named after the Fremantle Dockers footballer.
Oh, yeah.
So he's one to watch. The Perth Cup's probably March or April, and that's the aim for him.
So do you breed them then?
No, a registered breeder does,
Yep.
but in between litters, she lives here.
Yep.
And I make sure she's well fed so that she's ready to be a good mum. And she's 9 years old now, so that's all finished. She had 3 litters, and yeah, she'll live her days out here. The thing with greyhounds as pets, they generally retire. They race from the age of just before 2 to about 4. So as soon as they turn 4, they have these veterans races where the old ones run against each other. And she didn't do that. So I got her when she was 4. And I would say the average of the 5 I've had, the average death would be 9.5, 10. They do not last that long, greyhounds. So yeah, you only get 5 or 6 years with them.
So you said you part owned some as well. So was that just like an investment, like with the race horses and stuff? I don't know that much about the whole racing industry.
Oh, well, with greyhounds, they're obviously a lot cheaper. They cost $25 to feed a week. All greyhound trainers take them on a 50-50 basis. So if you buy a greyhound for $3,000, it goes to the trainer, and it basically has to earn $6,000 for you to get your money back.
Yeah. Is there much money to be made?
There is. Yeah, there definitely is. Yeah, there definitely is. If I was to be honest, I reckon for every dollar I've invested, I've kept spreadsheets. So this is actually dead on. 88 cents back for every dollar invested.
Oh, yeah.
And studies have been done on horses, which obviously cost an absolute fortune as yearlings, and the average return is 17 cents. So I don't know whether I've had luck or whether just horses are a blue chip investment and it's bust or boom with them. Because the thing with greyhounds now, the slow greyhounds race against the slow greyhounds.
Yeah.
The extremely slow greyhounds race against the extremely slow greyhounds. And the grading system is very fair so that you don't have greyhounds that win easily. So it's a better betting medium because every dog has its day, any dog can win.
Yeah. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, you go.
I was just going to say, if you have a bet on a Saturday at the horses, every now and then there'll be a horse that's 400 to 1. So you bet $10, you collect 4,000 if it wins. That's because it's no hope. And yeah, whereas greyhounds, you'll never see 400 to 1 because they're evenly matched. It's like a school carnival at primary school, A division, B division, C division. After year 1, it's pretty much sorted out and they're well matched.
Hey, remember the whole animal cruelty thing with the greyhounds a couple of years ago or something like that? Did that affect you guys?
It did. It was about 8 years ago. It was mainly Queensland. It was horrific. And yeah, like WA's records outstanding. Most of the states are, but yeah, that was Queensland, New South Wales. It was about 8 years ago, and it basically sent a massive reminder that we're one disaster, we're one idiot off ruining it for everyone. Because these days, if a greyhound suffers an injury, there's rebate schemes that the TABs cover for them to get rehomed. So they might need, I'm not sure what the canine word for hamstring is, but metatarsal or something like that. I've heard it, but it might take 8 weeks of plaster, but they get cared for and then rehomed through greyhounds as pets.
So I just remember the whole animal cruelty thing and Queensland and stuff, but I didn't actually look that much into it. So were they torturing the animals, or what happened with it?
Oh yeah, live baiting. It was live baiting.
What's that mean?
It means having a rabbit for the greyhound to chase and latch onto.
Was that in the race itself? Because I know you got the fake rabbit, but is that just in training?
No, it was bogan losers thinking they had an edge by letting the greyhound catch a live rabbit.
And that was in training? Or the race? The training?
No, not the race. No. Any form of, I don't know about other states, but in WA, it's 50,000 minimum possible jail sentence. Like WA's record's clean as, because everyone knows if you do anything, well, it's like owning staffies, and the problem is there's idiots all over the place and overbreeding, and it was horrible. And horse racing have had their shocks as well, especially recently. And greyhounds don't run on fear. All you got to do is go to the track and watch a race. They're happy to go, and if they don't want to run, and you do get them, they don't make the racetrack. Straight to greyhounds as pets, and the demand is great for greyhounds. They are magnificent pets. They really are, and I think it might have something to do with, because they're, as pups they get looked after big time and have a fair bit of fun. But for that age, when they're racing, they're so fit that I'm not sure it's like once they retire, they're extremely grateful for cuddles, to put it bluntly.
Yeah.
They just absolutely love it. Like, I remember giving one of mine a couple of leftover chicken nuggets from one of the kids' Happy Meals, and she almost did like a happy dance as she ate it, because she's used to kibble and wheat bix and milk, and for anyone listening that wants a dog that isn't, you probably only have for 5 to 7 years, I can recommend greyhounds, and that's why that they all get rehomed.
So do they all get rehomed? Because I'm just picturing, because they're just used for racing, I don't know. I'm just picturing like the Huskies over after one of those Winter Olympics all getting put down or something like that. But you reckon there's definitely enough homes there for the dogs to go to?
There are, because like I was saying before, the extremely slow ones still race. I mean, one that doesn't want to go out of the box and run with the other dogs, they're very rare, because they're excited. Just the box is open and they all run together, whether they're chasing the lure or not. So the thing is, the breeding for greyhounds is way down. There's restrictions. There's no overbreeding now. Okay. There's no overbreeding. So that's why supply meets demand with greyhounds as pets. I can't speak for any other country, but I can speak for this. In WA, and now because Darwin have greyhounds as well, sometimes there might be a surplus there, and I've heard recently that I think 5 Darwin greyhounds were driven down and rehomed through the WA Greyhounds as Pets program.
Because you're around the whole racing, gambling type arena, type area or whatever, do you see lots of like addicted gamblers and stuff down the greyhounds and racetracks all the time? Like you see the same guys losing money or make money all the time?
20 years ago I did.
Yeah.
Definitely. But everything's online now.
Oh, okay.
Everything's so they're all at home. Yeah, there's hardly anyone that goes to the races unless it's, pardon me, unless it's Perth Cup Day at Ascot, or Flemington for that 1 week in November, where it's social for people to get out there and sip champagne, wear tuxedos and dresses. No, the numbers on course are right down, and the betting companies don't care because it's all about off-course turnover. Sure, Mandurah Greyhounds, I can recommend every Friday night. There's nowhere to park. The buffet's packed out. I think it's $39, and it's a magnificent, somewhere you can take your kids. And as you know, living pretty close to Mandurah, there's not that much to do at night, if anything, apart from movies or dinner, when you've got kids. So there's a playground there. And yeah, so you get the families there, especially on a Friday night. It's always booked out, the restaurant. But no one really cares about the numbers on course for horses or greyhounds.
Oh, how funny. So when you first started 20 years ago, there was like heaps of people almost every night betting, going in, placing the bets, watching the races. Now it's the ghost town unless it's Friday night.
That's right. Basically, yeah. And the other thing, when I started, so say, 2000, none of the races of the horses and greyhounds that I commentated were on TV. So I've modelled myself on, or I aimed to describe the order of the animals with, knowing that the listener couldn't see. Whereas now, if you've got a TAB account or a sports bet account, you have live streaming to all of the greyhound and horse races.
Yeah. So when you first started, you're like, here's red number 7. He's like grey and white spotted or whatever. Like you literally describe them, and now,
Yeah.
no.
That's right. You could get away with mistakes, where now if you get it wrong, they know straight away. So, and I sort of, because it's, I still call the way I learned to, if that makes sense.
I so you still call them describing the dogs and stuff like that.
Yeah, so I might be considered a little bit boring and robotic, but I'm accurate because that's what the listener wanted to hear. I'm not that flamboyant, whereas a lot of callers are flamboyant now, and I still call a little bit like just someone who is trying to relay what's happening in the race to people who can't see the race.
Yeah. So once the kids grow up, what do you want to do? Do you want to keep commentating, or you want to do even more commentating, or get back into the workforce in a different way? What's your plan?
I'm not sure. I'll keep doing what I'm doing. I'll keep calling the greyhounds for as long as I can. During the week, I write form guides. And so there's other stuff, watch replays and, race book comments. So there's other stuff that I do as well when the kids are at school. But no, I'm not all that ambitious, Aaron, to be honest. I'm happy just enjoying myself and coach footy and
Probably not a bad thing. I'm very ambitious and it does your head in sometimes because you got 10 different things at once. And if you're not doing enough things, then if you're not doing a TikTok post, or if you're not doing a podcast, or you're like, I got to get all this stuff done. But if you can just actually chill, have peace in your mind, it's probably a better way of living.
Well, yeah, this is going off on a tangent, but I wrote it down here as one of the things that I love to do. So my mum loves crosswords. You might love watching TikTok, little 15-minute little things that people like to spend their time. Well, I like picking out 3 textures or pencils, 3 colours, drawing a soccer uniform or football, and coming up with combinations that don't clash to see how many uniforms I can make that don't clash. So you could theoretically have a game of soccer between that jumper and that jumper, and everyone wouldn't get confused with who's on which team.
Yeah.
So I knew there was something a little bit different with me, whether it be like OCD or on the spectrum or something, when I watched a game of AFL and St Kilda are playing Essendon. So for those that don't know, St Kilda are red, black and white. Essendon are red and black, but the AFL make the away team wear white shorts. So 3 years ago, St Kilda wore red, black and white stripes with black shorts. Essendon rocked up in their usual black with red sash and wore white shorts. Now, it made me want to punch a wall. And I remember there was talk about the commentators. A couple of commentators said, geez, I'm struggling to pick up who's who here. But then no one else really even cared around me. And I was just like saying, this is just criminal. How can this happen? You know, just get one of the teams to put green shorts on or pink shorts or anything. How can this happen? So that's just like a bugbear of mine that I can't get my head around. And I love how the English soccer teams have their home Guernsey and then 3 away strips. So there's never a clash. So I know that went off on a little bit of a strange tangent, Aaron, but that is just, I've always loved uniforms.
Yeah.
Like going back to that day when I went to Perry Lakes and the 7 schools all had their different colours. Yeah. And another thing, I went to an AFL grand final, Hawthorn Fremantle, and Hawthorn finished higher on the ladder. Hawthorn are brown and gold. Fremantle are predominantly purple with white. But the AFL made Fremantle wear their away jumper, which was 80% white, 20% purple. There was no clash. There was no reason to do it. And that made me want to punch a wall as well. And I'm a pretty chilled out guy, but yeah, little things like that with colours just remind me that I've got a bit of OCD or something's a little bit amiss upstairs.
I know what you're talking about. It was one, I think it was actually a soccer game. I know you're saying that the soccer don't do it, but I remember actually seeing a soccer game and both teams were basically wearing white. But I think one had, I don't know, I'm making it up now, like one had a bit of blue on it and the other one didn't or something, but they looked so similar. And you're like, bloody, which team are which? So I can totally see where you're coming from with that.
Yeah, I think I saw an NRL game. There were 2 blue teams, and NRL people will know. It might have been Parramatta and Cronulla or something, but gee whiz, yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. It's just common sense.
Well, that's the thing. You'd think it would be common sense, but common sense isn't really that common. Hey, I want to ask you a question. Because you've been like around the greyhounds so long and stuff like that and the horses and that, and you're obviously commentating on them, can you pick a winner?
Yeah, I can. Yes, I can. When you own a greyhound, you know the greyhound inside out, so you know if he or she jumps left or right out of the boxes. And I do believe that I know when my greyhound's a real chance and when it's no chance, because I know the greyhound inside out.
Yeah.
Have a quick look at the opposition, and yeah, I can pick a winner.
But is that once he's out of the box or before he goes into the box? Like when can you place a bet on it?
Before. Yeah, but the thing is, it's all about value. So if you think you run this race 100 times and my dog Sarong's going to win 50 of them, you would only bet on Sarong if the odds were to more than double your money. So if you think it would win half the time, you need to double your money to have fair odds. And if the greyhounds triple your dollar, that's when you should bet. There's no point thinking your dog's going to win half the races and then betting on risking $10 to collect 14.
Have you thought about setting up a system and trying your luck with like a gambling system?
Oh, many times. But one thing people need to remember that isn't advertised anywhere, and I am an employee of the TAB, but the rake, which is a lot better than Lotto, I might point out, for a win and place bets is 12.5%. So theoretically, if you went down to the TAB, you would get back 87.5 cents for every dollar you bet. But then there's another little edge there. They round to the nearest 10 cents. So if there's a horse that's paying $1.18 a place, they pay out $1.10.
Oh, they go down.
They go down to the nearest 10 cents. So, yeah, it's like everything. You know, your odds are better on the roulette table if there's only 1 0 and it never comes up, the odds are fair.
Yeah. Oh, cool. I think you've answered all my questions. Anything else you want to talk about? What have you got down on your bit of paper? Anything interesting? We got another couple of minutes.
Yeah, I wish they'd bring back TCR Scalextrics. Honestly, how does that happen? Imagine if we could have 4 cars racing at once, changing lanes, set it up on a pool table for our kids. But no, just 2 lanes, awesome looking cars. Nothing's changed with the Scalextrics. It's quite amazing.
You're all good? That's all right. We'll wrap her up. Yeah, I'm trying to think if I got anything else.
Well, if anyone out there listening is a punter, I do like Sarong as a greyhound, Serong. He's been trialling the house down by himself and he's being set for the Perth Cup, so for 2022. So fingers crossed he can give it a good shake. I reckon the highlight of my calling career was flying to Leonora. It was a Saturday, calling the Leonora Gift, where they would race, I think it was 800 meters. They would race down the main street of Leonora. So it was just open male, female categories, and they would win $1,800, a gold nugget worth $1,800 basically. And that was cool. It was run at night.
Yeah.
And it was put on by the town, who obviously were pretty well off at the time with mining around the area. Kate Sobrano flew in on a private jet. That night, there was all of these circus acts. You know, 95% of the town were Indigenous, just kids just looking at Kate Sobrano and having these running races. That was a magical night. So I reckon that would be the highlight of my race commentating career. And I remember the guy that won it was about 15, and he did go on and he beat all of the men, and he went on to represent Australia at the Olympics.
That's pretty cool.
That was pretty cool. I can't remember his name now. I should remember. I think his first name was Nathan, but he was a really nice guy, and it was really cool seeing him win that, get his gold nugget. He's 15 years old. He looked about 12, very lanky, and then being able to just watch him, you know, Google him every so often and see how he was going, and then see him. He didn't make the final, but he made the semis or whatever in the Olympics. That was pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. Do you make much of? I was thought of another question. So, Sarong, if your dog wins, do you win much off the races?
The Perth Cup's 150,000. I own a third of the greyhound at the moment called We the People, who's currently in Brisbane. She's a stayer, so she races over longer distances, and she has earned 172,000. So I own a third of her. So I've got a sixth of that because the trainer gets 50%.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I get a sixth of that. She cost 13,000 to go in, so I paid a third of that. And just getting back to greyhound racing, whenever a greyhound starts, depending on the distance, the greyhound trainer gets paid $50 just for turning up.
Yeah.
Or $100 if it's a longer race. just for turning up, just for the greyhound going in, which makes it very, well, it's a real safety net, really. It covers petrol.
Yeah.
That's for sure. So, yeah, greyhound racing is in a very healthy state in WA. It's financially viable for the trainer, the owner. The greyhound gets rehomed, and yeah, I can recommend Mandurah on a Friday night, that's for sure. Good atmosphere.
Do you make much off the so every Friday they have their race? Do they win like what, 10 grand or 20 grand per race, or it's all different? Or
on a Friday night, the average winning check's 2,900. I think you get, one of mine ran third last night. You get 675 for third, and basically there's 5 grades, and after you win a grade 4, you go to a grade 3. Once you've been unplaced 3 times, you drop back to grade 4.
Yeah.
So that's how the grading system works.
And how many
keeps it not even?
How many dogs have you got racing at the moment?
I've got about 9 or 10, and 7 of those are from the 3rd litter of Starlight Shine.
Yeah.
So naming them is good fun.
Yeah.
Naming them is really good fun. You can get stuck a fair bit because you need 6 names per greyhound in order of preference. So because if you want to call one Aaron White, there might, I think it's 15 years. If there's a dog called Aaron White in the last 15 years, you can't have that name. So, yeah, I've named a lot of greyhounds after B-side Pearl Jam songs. So,
nice.
Yeah, obviously given to fly, and the main ones are taken. So, yeah, I get on Wikipedia and find some. So I've got a greyhound, ran second last night actually, called Unthought Known, which is my favourite Pearl Jam song. And it's one that sort of has gone under the radar a bit. But, yeah, I think I've probably got 6 or 7 greyhounds over the last 5 years that have been named after Pearl Jam songs.
If more people bet on your dog, does that help you in any way, or you prefer less people to bet on it?
No, it doesn't at all. Not as an owner. If more people bet on a dog or a horse, the odds firm in, and the odds for the other horses and greyhounds in that race increase. So it's supply and demand. If everyone bets on Black Caviar, which they did, because she never lost a race, she would literally start at $1.10. So you put 1,000 on, you collect 1,100 if she wins. You risk 1,000 to win 100. So, yeah, that's how it works.
Oh, cool. Well, we've hit our 40-minute mark. Smash that. It goes quick, eh?
It does.
Well, thanks for coming on the show. Thanks for coming on the show. Did you have fun?
I did have fun. I felt a little bit self-obsessed, but I guess that's what my job was, to talk about all of the little things that sort of landed me calling greyhounds and coasting through my 40s.
Very cool. All right, well, cool. Yeah, I'd like to say thanks again for coming on the show, and I'd like to thank you, the listener, for listening. Please tell a friend about the podcast. Have a fantastic day. All right, bye.